The Deeley family, they opened up here in 1914 selling bicycles in the 1000 block on Hastings Street. And from there on, they started with BSA motorcycles. And of course, the First World War, the supply of BSA motorcycles had dried up, so they went to the United States in 1917 and they got the Harley franchise. It's still a bicycle frame, but if you look closely, you'll notice that the engine is part of the frame. It's a true monocoque engine. And the 06 was the first year that has some suspension on the front end. Indian started off in 1901, and it was going before Harley Davidson, and they were very popular again right up into 1953. This is the Pierce Arrow luxury motorcycle made in North America. And if you look closely at it, you'll see that it's actually got a centrifugal clutch. It has a small transfer case and it's shaft driven. And this is in 1911. These are exactly how they're found. Now the Excelsior was a barn find, and the Harley Davidson was actually found in a store, covered over with cardboard boxes. And it's what they call the original patina. And the Excelsior actually has a tank on the handlebars for acetylene to run the headlight and tail light. If the acetylene went up, you might burn a few hairs on your chest. If your gas tank between your knees go up, that's another story. Now, the 1914 Indian that we have in front of us here was actually assembled in Toronto, Canada before World War I. And to the best of my knowledge, they never did go back to producing Indians in Canada. But if you see a blue one, it'll say made in Canada on it, and the red ones were made in the United States. This is the first model to have an electric starter on it. Now, the electric starters weren't too functional, and they recalled the bikes and took all the electric starts out of them. What makes this one so unique is it still has the electric start in it. A lot of your cables are internal on the handlebars. Now, a lot of people with the newer bikes today will actually pay to have somebody run their cables inside the handlebars for them. In these days, the bars came stock like that. There was a peak production in the US in 1920, but it fell over 50% by 1922 when the Ford Model T car, which at that time sold for $400, and a Harley Davidson sidecar unit would have cost $500. And most people by that time were switching over to cars, and motorcycle sales did drop off. Now in 1923, the Hendy Manufacturing Company had to restructure as a public company, and they've changed the name now to the Indian Motorcycle Company. Indian was just a type of bike at the time. Now it's just the whole company name. In 1924, Indian sales had dropped off, and Harley Davidson was the top American motorcycle sales leader. Model T prices now had dropped to $285, and the car was a serious competitor and helped put a lot of the motorcycle companies out of business. In 1929, Indian's cash reserves were gone. Dealers intervened to raise cash for a payroll for parts and materials. Now after that, many companies, including car companies and motorcycle companies, finally went under.